Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Mamsha Shri Rupam Shagajatam Shahagna Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajiyam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजनाम सहिताम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्णा पदान सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांतो राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कंचना गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांतो स्वामी नामिने नामस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंशकल्पातरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदो श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। कलयुग पावन धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ISKCON founder Acharya His Divine Grace Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय। गुरु एन गौरंगा की जय। डिसेंबर भक्त वृंद की जय। नित्य गौर प्रेम नंदी हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna. So this should be our last class for Updesa Amrita. And then I'll try to quickly go through the slides just to give some sort of quick summary what we have been discussing about. I definitely cannot go extensively in each and every verse and then the purport that we did, but I'll just give a quick kind of summary, and then we'll talk about how we are going to have the exam, and then we'll see what dates you all align for the exam. So Updesamrita, it's nectar of instruction, Amrita of the Updesa. So it has 11 verses, and you have seen this slide multiple times, that these verses are basically these verses are sharing different types of information. First two verses talks about what are the things that we have to avoid, and then next series of verses talks about what we should do to enhance our bhakti, and then finally there are 4 verses which talks about residing in Braja and then following the footstep of the uh, devotees whose bhavs of devotion, bhava, not bhav, Hindi bhav, Sanskrit bhav, whose mood of devotion is matching with the particular taste one has, and then also serving with them, and ultimately few verses talks about the holiest spot, and then the topmost devotee. So that's how nectar of instruction basically flows. It gives us the idea that how one can engage in sadhana bhakti, and then slowly and slowly you can transition through raganuga bhakti up to the stage of bhava and prema bhakti. So these 11 verses are very, very powerful verses because it gives us the process for devotional service. So I'll just go through quickly Vacho begam mansa krodha begam jiva begam udropastha begam etan veganyo visaheta dhira sarvam apimam pitvim shasishyat. So this verse talks about six urges that need to be controlled, and urge of a speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genital. Then the verse number 2 talks about what are the six impediments we have in sadhana bhakti. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpo niyamagraha janasangasya laulyam cha sadbir bhaktir vinishyati. These six items, sadbhir bhaktir vinishyati. These six items, if they are not controlled, they will annihilate, they will vanquish our little bit devotion that we have. So those are given here, that eating too much. Atyahara means, atyahara has two meaning. One meaning is eating too much, and also collecting too much, more than necessary. And then prayasas, over endeavoring for things of the material world. And then doing prajalpo. Prajalpa means criticism of the devotee also, and mundane talks which are not related to Krishna's name, form, qualities, or pastime, not related to one's devotional service, rather just mundane subject matter. And then Niyamagra also has two meaning. Very easily accepting rules and regulations for for artha, for some other ulterior motivations. So accepting things or using things uh, for sake of some personal benefit is niyamagra. And also not, even after multiple exposure, not being ready to take the process of bhakti, or even by hearing again and again and again and again and again and again, not being able to take the message. In Bhagavatam, uh, when Kardamuni was leaving Mother Devahuti, then Mother Devahuti is basically lamenting. She's now, she's crying. And then there are a series of verses given in third cantos, 23rd chapter. Series of verses are given where Mother Devahuti is basically lamenting. Why is she lamenting? Oh, alas, see my birth. I took birth in such a nice family. My father is none different than Krishna. And my husband, who is him, Kardamuni, such a exalted personality. So even I had such a high birth, such a beautiful, I know, environment around me. And I had association of a pure devotee, such as Kardamuni. But what I did, I wasted completely and used it for sense gratification. So very beautiful context in Bhagavatam comes when she is lamenting and thinking that I wasted everything just for sensual pleasure. And then there are two or three verses that talks about that the person who are not using these things to enhance their consciousness are nothing but dead. They might be, walking and all of that, but they are, just the dead corpse. That's what the translation of one of the verses. So sometimes, even after repeated request, not trying to step up and take the, rules which are necessary for our spiritual advancement is niyamagra. And then association is very important, not associating with the people who are of the materialistic mind, people whose interests are not whose interests are not aligning with the interests of devotees. So that type of association should be abandoned. And then unnecessarily, too much greed for material achievement. So these 6 items should be avoided. Then we get into the section where we study what are the items that we need to adopt. And it starts with utsahan. Utsahan means enthusiasm. Utsahan nisayadharya tat tat karma pravartana shanga tyagat sato vritte sadbihir bhakti prasiddhyati. So these 6 items will basically encourage our devotions. Those 6 items are enthusiasm and confidence, patience in the process, and also favorably engaging in the limbs of bhakti, and then abandoning the bad association and following the teaching of Sattva-Vritti, Guru, Shastra, Sadhu, previous Acharya, will help us to elevate in Krishna consciousness. So these are all the verses that we have read so far are star verses. So these verses are basically verse for memorization. So we'll talk, once we get to the exam format. But there are 4 verses in NOI. Out of those, 2 verses will be, writing in exams. The exam will have 2 verses to write. We will have to study all these 4 verses. And then the verse number 4 talks about the Dati Pratigrahanati, Guhyam Akhati Prikshati, Bhunkate Bhujate Chaiva, Sadvidhim Priti Lakshana. What is the Lakshana, symptoms of Priti, of love? And the symptoms of love, Priti Lakshanam, are the 6 items: offering gifts, accepting gifts, revealing the mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, eating or accepting prasad, uh, or feeding or offering prasada. So we have talked about all of these items in detail. I'll just go through the next one. So these 4 verses that we just finished are the verses that we have to memorize. Then right after, in verse number 5, Rupa Goswami is talking about 3 types of devotees. And beautiful verse, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta diksha sati cheta pranatibhish bhajantamisham sushrusaya bhajana vignam anyam anya nindadi shunya hridam ipsita sangalabdaya. Beautiful verse. So Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. Mentally honor the Kanishta devotee who is engaged in deity worship, or who are engaged in chanting the name of Krishna just for their personal benefit. Dikshasati chet pranatibhish cha bhajanta mishram. But offer obeisances to those who are madma, adhikari. And then susrusaya bhajanam vignam anannamanya nindadi sunya hridam ipsita sangha labdaya. A devotee who have unflinching faith in Guru Shastra and Sadhu, and who are nindati shunyam hridam, in their heart there is no propensity to criticize anyone. They are considered Uttmadhikari, and their association should be sought. So we should be seeking the association of Uttmadhikari. And I don't want to really talk too much about these 3 adhikaris. We talked about these three personality, when we were reading this verse, there are multiple contexts to understand who is Kanishta, who is Madhma, and who is Uttamadhikari. But in every instance, in every context, uh, the guidance and association of the Uttamadhikari is preferred. Prabhupada is also writing in the purport that one should not artificially try to imitate. So if I'm Kanistadhikari or if I'm neophyte, fallen soul, I should not even try to imitate the Kanista. Kanista should not be imitating the Madhmadhikari, and Madhma should not be imitating the Uttamadhikari. If they imitate, then they will fall down. Also, Prabhupada said in the purport that one should seek guidance, or one's spiritual master at least should be Uttamadhikari, at least should be Uttamadhikari. If your spiritual master is not Uttamadhikari, then one should seek Shiksha Guru who are Uttamadhikari. But we must have to have association of Uttamadhikari, because they are fully situated in Krishna consciousness. So their association is very, very powerful. Same context, again, I remember one more verse that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, where it's been spoken that even by ignorance, if one associates with a pure devotee, all the marg, all the pathway for liberation will be opening up. Mahatseva, Ahur, Dwarvi Mukha, by associating with the saintly person, the doors for liberation will open. At the same time, if we associate with the people of material world, people who have a very materialistic mind, then the door for hell will open. This verse comes twice. In third canto, it comes in context of, again, Devahuti and Mother Devahuti and Kardamuni's context. And then it comes also later when Rishabdev Maharaj is leaving his kingdom and giving the final instructions to his sons, and he's telling that always seek to associate with the pure devotee. So that's basically what we are trying to understand here, that always one should seek association of a pure devotee. It's very important also, like draws the like. Um, Even to have the taste or even have the aspiration to associate with a pure devotee, we ourselves have to have some degree of advancement. Otherwise we'll associate with the people who appears very favorable for our XYZ stuff. We give priority to associate with the people who seems very nice and very well behaved and some stuff. So technically right and being right is two different things. Okay, it appears sometimes that things that is being done right, whatever understanding we have, intelligence we have, it appears to be right, but is it technically right? Is it something that is technically I should be doing? In order for us to also understand that part, we have to have some degree of advancement, some degree of understanding of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, superficial thing will attract us, and it's none different than getting attracted with other stuff of the material world, which is very much on the superficial level. So a devotee who is serious for Krishna consciousness, these are the items being spoken in the section of sadhana bhakti. So why it's being spoken? Because we have to elevate and come to the stage where we understand who Uttamadhikari is, who Madhmadhikari is, and who Kanistadhikari is. Madhmadhikari is the devotee who, at least we should try to seek to to come to the stage of Madhmadikari. And Madhmadikari is a stage where one understands their own position, one understands others' position, and then the dealings of the Madhmadikari is perfect. He knows how to deal with the people. And Utmadikari for sure, he's perfectly in the perfect situation, fully established in ideal position. So we should always seek the guidance of Utmadikari. Then verse number 6 is talking that one should not see a person who is engaged in devotional service, especially Utmadikari, as a person who has some external defects, maybe not be able to hear, maybe not be able to walk, old man, maybe not very intelligent materially, all of that thing we can see. So this verse teaches us that one should not see a pure devotee from a very, very ordinary point of view, not in a very, materialistic way. Rather, we should see the position of a person. We should see how that person is situated in their devotional stature, not in the material stature. And also these things to understand and to see also require that we have to have, some degree of understanding of Krishna consciousness. Then verse number 7 talks that how to awaken the taste for Krishna's name. And beautiful verse, multiple time being cited, many places like Prabhupada writes in his purport. So I would like to read this verse. Shat Krishna Nam Charitadi Sitapiya Vidya Pitop Tapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kinta Vadarad Anudinam Khalau Jais Khalu Saiva Justa Swadhavi Karmad Bhavati Tad Gadamulahantari Shati Krishna Nam Charitadi Sitapiya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintavadarad Anudinam Khalau Saiva Justa Swadhavi Karmad Bhavati Tadgadamulahantari. Beautiful verse. Shat Krishna Nam Charitadi Sitapi Avidya. So Krishna's name Charitadi, his pastime, Sitapi Avidya. All of these due to ignorance appear tasteless. We don't have taste for it. But what happens is that Swadhavi Karmad Bhavati Tadgadamulahantari. But that taste will slowly and slowly develop once we engage. Once we engage by hearing the pastime of Supreme Personality of Godhead, or by chanting the holy name of Krishna. So by engaging in the process of bhakti, slowly and slowly, our taste for Krishna Nam, which means his holy name, and Charitadi, his pastime and other paraphernalia that he has, we'll have taste for those only by engaging in that process. An example is given here that when one gets jaundice, then sugar tastes bitter. Sugar doesn't taste sweet. But when jaundice is gone, and the process is given that by eating sugar, slowly and slowly, the jaundice will be gone and the taste for sugar will reveal. So we talked about 3 types of chanting: Namaprad, Namabhash, and Shuddhanam. And we also talked how those chanting have impact. What are the 10 offenses against the holy name of chanting, holy name, and then also uh, how those offenses basically act against our consciousness. And some of those prominent ones are offenses against the devotees, pure devotees, the 10 offenses that we start, offenses against Veda, Vedic teaching. And again in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 4, in pastime of Prithu Maharaj, when he is talking to four Kumaras, that discussion comes, where four Kumaras, Sanat Kumar especially, is giving guidance to Prithu Maharaj, and he's saying that Veda should never be criticized. One should never, never, ever criticize the Veda, because Vedas are, he's starting talking about that a pure devotee should not criticize anything. And then finally he comes to this stage where he's saying that one should not criticize the Veda. Why? Because these are energy of Krishna's. These are energy of Krishna. And if one criticizes creation, energy, expansion of Krishna, then one basically disrespect Lord's creation. And in that way, this is a offense. Also, the Vedic teaching, or Prabhupada has given a lot of emphasis on Varnashram Dharma. So the very simple understanding of emphasis on Varnashram Dharma, there could be different level of understanding. One very simple understanding is that in order for one to take the process of bhakti, like limbs of bhakti, 64 total. We'll study that in Nectar of Devotion. Then out of those 9 limbs, out of those 9, 5, out of those 5, holy name. So to take 1 or 5 or 9 or 64 limbs of bhakti, before one can start really taking limbs of this bhakti, one has to come to the stage of human being. One has to come to this stage of some basic qualities that one need, and that's the purpose of Varnashram Dharma. That at least by practicing the Varnashram Dharma, one at least will come to the stage where they will have some faith in Dharma Shastra. They will have some faith in understanding and creation of the Supreme Lord in context of consciousness. And we talked about anavarita, sankuchita, mukulita consciousness and how the consciousness evolves. So the point here that's being made is that, that this is lackness of our knowledge. And this is also darkness from our side, that we are not able to see the importance of anything that is not of my my interest, or that is not within a space of my interest. A very simple example can be given, that how much respect we have when we talk about Islam Dharma. Not due respect many times, but again in Bhagavatam that is being taught that no, one should not have any disrespect for any other philosophy that is for awakening of one consciousness. Okay, it comes again in 4th cantos. So similar, repetitive instruction comes again and again, and that teaches us all of these things that we do either willingly or unwillingly cause resistance within our consciousness, cause resistance within us, and that resistance is because of not having the taste for holy name, not having the taste in no Nam, Rupa, Guna, Lila of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, so this verse teaches us that how we can avoid offenses and come to the stage of Raganuga Bhakti. And this verse number 8, as I have been talking, is a beautiful verse which gives a transition from Sadhana Bhakti to Raganuga Bhakti. And beautiful verse, I would like to read that. Tananam Rupa Charitade Sukitano Asmartayo Karmena Rasna Manasi Niyojya Tishtan Braje Tad Anuragi Jananugami. Beautiful line. Tishtan Braje Tad Anuragi Jananugami. You can get by the Sanskrit itself. Kalam Nayadakhilam iti Upadesh Saram. Upadesh Saram. This is the essence of all the Upadesa. Let's see what is that. One should Tananam Rupa Charitadi Sukritananu. One should discuss about Krishna's names for pastime, etc. And Asmartayo Karmena, slowly and slowly remember by engaging one's tongue and mind by residing in Braja and following the devotee who are attached to his bhakti in a particular raga, in a particular mood. One should utilize one's full time in this way. This is the essence of all advice. So in this particular verse, in the part Srila Prabhupada is writing that, and we talked about different, types of rasa, different types of mood for Krishna's devotion, or how we see Krishna, starting with the Shanta rasa, Dasya rasa, Shakya rasa, and then Madhurya and Vatsalya and Madhurya rasa. So this verse is teaching us that whatever mood, whatever raga, whatever emotion one has for Krishna's bhakti, one should try to find an advanced devotee, and that devotee can be our spiritual master. So a person who is cultivating Krishna's bhakti in that particular rag, we should take guidance of that particular devotee and follow his footstep by residing in Braja. So that's the basically essence of this particular verse, which is teaching us that certain type of emotion, a specific emotion that we have, not everybody will have emotion to serve Krishna as a Dasya rasa, in Dasya rasa. Not everybody has emotion to serve Krishna in Shakya rasa or Vatsalya rasa. So whatever rasa, whatever rush is the real word, rasa is the way to say in English. So whatever ras or bha one has for Krishna's bhakti, seek the guidance of a devotee who is cultivating Krishna consciousness in that particular rag. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, the discussion comes that it doesn't matter what rag one is trying to do the bhakti. Ultimately, everybody is serving Krishna. So even in Madhurya Ras, Mother Srimati Radharani is trying to serve Krishna. So what is serve? Serve is the best person who can serve, and the best service that can please Krishna is the service coming from Srimati Radharani. So das bhav is there. So das, so when we say that Sant ras, das ras, Shakha ras, Vatsalya and Madhurya ras, So when we say das ras, like you see that spectrum, some bandwidth. Here is sant ras, here is das ras, maybe, but we should not keep the understanding of das ras just limited to the bandwidth that we see. Rather, it's basically in every rasa, das rasa is going, especially when it comes to the bhakti of the personality of Godhead. Then in every rasa, we are worshipping, we are serving Krishna, mostly in Das Bhav. So it's very important to understand. The reason I wanted to bring this point, because one should not think that, okay, I don't have to worship in Das Ras, I have to, tomorrow I can start, practicing Shakya Ras, or I can start, seeing Krishna in Vatsalya Ras. Even you are trying to worship Krishna in Vatsalya Ras, but do not forget that in every bhav, yes, the degree of emotion or expression of our love for Lord definitely will change. That's why it's called bhav. That's why it's called rag, because the way we express our love, that expression will change. But intent will be still to serve Lord. So that's what we learn in verse number 8. I have 2 more verses to go. So this verse is giving us understanding that what is the topmost of all holy places. Vaikuntha janito vara madhu puri tatrapi rasota swad. So it's basically rasotsavad. So if we say as a compound word, then it becomes rasotsavad. But if you break it, rasotsavad. Vaikuntha janito varna madhupuri tatrapi rasotsavad. Vrindaranya mudara pani ramane tatrapi govardhana. Radha kundamihapi gokulapate prem amrita palvana kuryadasya virajato giritate sevam vivekinaka. Beautiful verse. So this verse gives us understanding that there are so many material planets and abodes and everything, but out of all of that, Vaikuntha planet is the highest. And higher than Vaikuntha planet is Mathura. Higher than Mathura is Vrindavan. And higher than Vrindavan, or in Vrindavan, or in the Vrindavan, the place which is higher is Govardhana. Govardhan is higher than holy land of Vrindavan. And on Govardhan hill, Sri Radha Kund, at the foothill of Govardhan, Sri Radha Kund is the holiest spot. So that's what we learn from this verse. Riyad asya virajato giritate sevam viveki nakaha. Tate sevam viveki naka. Viveki is intelligence. Kuryad asya virajato means to stay. So who, as an intelligent person, will be unwilling to serve Radha Kund, which is at the foot of Govardhan Hill. So who in the world who has intelligence would not like to serve Radha Kund, which is the topmost of all the holy places? Then we come to verse number 10, and that talks about glory of Srimati Radharani and her Radha Kund. Karmibhyah parito hare paritaya vyaktim yayurgyanina tevyo jnana vimukta bhakti parama प्रेमैकनिष्ठास्तथा देव्यस्तः पशुपालपङ्कजदृशास्ताभ्योऽपि सराधिका प्रेष्ठा ताद्वदीयं तादीयसरसि तं नाश्रयेत् कः कृति. Beautiful verse. So, just as Radha is dear to Krishna, her lake Radha Kund is also dear to him. So this verse, we talked about different degree of consciousness, and we started with lowest consciousness, which is basically the plants, and then slowly and slowly we proceeded and came came to the consciousness of the human being, and then in human being also consciousness of the sense enjoyment, then mind, then intelligence, then coming to the stage where we think that, oh, we are not this body, we are the soul. Then beyond soul, now, oh no, maybe there is something beyond. And then we going, the intelligence is going up to the up to demigod or demigods. Then after that, no, demigods are also being controlled by Brahman realization, then going to the Paramatma realization, then coming to the Bhagwan realization. So who have come to the stage of Bhagwan realization, they have perfected their consciousness. They are in the topmost stage of their consciousness. But out of all who thinks, who are Uttamadhikari, who are pure devotees, the gopis, and manjaris are higher. And out of all the gopis and manjaris, Srimati Radharani is the best. So that's what we learn in this particular verse, that Srimati Radharani is the topmost devotee. And her kunda, as Srimati Radharani is dear to Lord, her kund, Radha Kund, is also very, very dear to Lord. So that's what we learn in verse number 10. And this is the final verse, which says that one should reside in Braja on the bank of Radha Kund, take bath every day, and worship Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is another beautiful verse. Krishnasya uchahe pranaya vasita preyasi bhayo api radha kundam chasya muni bhiravitas tadrigeva vivadhayai yat prasthirapi alam sulabham kim punar bhakti vajam tad premaidam sakridapi saraha asnatu raviskaroti. So by taking bath in that holy most spot in Radha Kunda, all the vikara, all the contamination that we have will be taken out, and one will be situated in pure stage of their consciousness, which is prema bhakti. So that's how basically verses of Nectar of Instruction flows. It gives us a progressive stage of advancement. Sadhana bhakti through raga bhakti up to prema and bhava bhakti. First 7 verses talks about Badi bhakti, verse number 1 to 7, and then verse number 8 talks about Raganuga bhakti, and then last 9, 10, and 11, 3 verses are talking about bhava and prema bhakti. So that's the goal of the life. The goal of the life. What is the goal of the life? The goal of life is transformation, not the information. How we can take these teachings and transform our life, not in a superficial way, but in a real way, not in a show-off type of way, but in a real way. Then we can really enjoy. Otherwise, It will be very difficult, It's not going to be very releasing in the age of Kali Yuga to enjoy the limbs of bhakti. They say that one should not have inimical behavior with the crocodile when you are residing in the water, because that's the domain. In water, crocodile is really dominant and it has all the, strength. So we live in the jurisdiction of who? Who is the crocodile of the material world? Maya Devi. So uh, when we start chanting the name of Krishna, and when we start becoming serious in the process, direct fight against Maya. Prabhupada has said this thing multiple times. So we have to develop the realization with this statement, not just the repetition, realization. What is realization? That when I have taken the process of bhakti, now I'm going against the stream of the material world, fighting against Maya. So we'll be tested. When we go from one level to higher level, we have to give the exam to say that we understand and we have the understanding of, seventh grade material. So now I'm qualified to go to eighth grade. Then we give the exam in eighth grade to go to ninth grade. So don't think that we are not going to be examined in everything that is existing around us, things that we have to deal with. Either we are passing or we are failing. We are passing or failing. Maybe somebody is not there to give us the grade. And you, Ramacharya, you got C grade. Ramacharya, you got F grade. Maybe nobody is giving us the grade right there that you got F grade. But indeed, we are being graded. Again, in Srimad Bhagavatam, that discussion comes that no one can do bhakti without sanction of Krishna. So we all have the opportunity to take or practice bhakti. This is not something random. This is not something accidentally happened. This cannot happen accidentally. This is just a mercy that is coming from Lord. And once we start chanting name of Krishna, so that is a separate topic, the potency of the holy name. And in that context, holy name is so powerful that it starts basically helping the soul to advance in their understanding, in their consciousness. And then Krishna personally starts guiding that person, starts kind of, putting things around and starts seeing the seriousness of that person and helping, doesn't leave, help, so that slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, the soul can advance. It's all guided and managed by Lord Himself as Chatta Guru, as a spiritual master residing in the heart. So when we take the process of bhakti, we are fighting against the Maya, but also how much help we are going to get will depend how honest endeavor we are making. And that honest endeavor that we make will please Krishna and will help us, go to the next step. And that is the real intent of writing Nectar of Instruction. That's why Mahaprabhu wanted Srila Rupa Goswami to write Nectar of Instruction, so that in dark, dense age of Kali, people have something to look at and something to take as a guidance to cross the existence of material, repeated birth and death. So with that, I would like to conclude. Hope you all are learning and it will help. It's helping you to understand things little in a cleaner way. That's why systematic study is very important. Hodgepodge things will always keep your mind hodgepodge. No doubt about it, unless until you yourself or somewhere else take things in a very systematic way and understand and learn. This is also degree of seriousness. This is not something uh, that is outside thing. Seriousness about how we can understand Shastra and apply in our life. So beautiful instructions given by Sri Goswami for our benefit. So for the exam, we'll follow the same format. We'll have 5 multiple type questions, and you'll have to answer all 5, 1 mark each. Then I'll give 3 verse out of 4 verses. I'll choose 3 verse, and you'll have to answer 2 verse and 20 marks for those verse. And then short answer question. Uh, you will have 5 to answer, total 6 questions. Then mid answer type question, 7. You have to answer out of 8. And then we'll have 2 essays. You have to pick up one and answer those. Last exam I have been reviewing. All of you are doing very good, excellent, you know, performance. It's really not matter the most the how much you get. The most important thing is that how much endeavor you are putting to learn these things. By doing these things, I develop taste, and these processes are designed for us to come to that stage where we develop taste for reading, and nobody will force for anything. It's a spontaneous thing, or it's your decision. But these things are designed so that we can come up with some sort of interest and continuously keep on learning. So this is basically for the exam same format, 2 hours will be the duration. So I request all of you to start preparing for your exam. I still have so many devotees who have not even submitted their uh, Bhagavad Gita homework, and forget about Nectar of instruction. Many of you have been very consistent. Thank you so much for doing this. Again, as I said, this is just some degree of commitment. If you are not doing it, then you are wasting your time for sure, or they're giving something more priority than what you should be doing. So I leave you up to you, but the thing is that unless and until I don't receive the whole homework, I'm not going to give you the certificate. You would not get the certificate even if you finish all the exams. Homework is mandate. And we have been asked to get the homeworks. Homeworks I consider more serious. So please continue working on your homeworks and keep on sending. Make sure that you have sent all of your homework. We need that. With that, I just want to introduce also that recently I got certified. I have been working on these things behind the screen. I have to work hard to get these certificates. These certifications are very similar to Mayapur Institute. They have their institute, so they are inviting people to come and read these shastras, take these classes like VIHE. So I got that type of certification, which means I can basically help devotees who are here in St. Louis or anywhere else. Anybody would like to take up these classes and studies this literature systematically. That also helps me kind of continuously read and talk, and this helps me a lot. So we are basically going to start this Bhakti Vaibhav course, and I request if you are interested, it will definitely help you. Some of the discussion that we could not do because I have to stay within the context of the topic that's being spoken. So Bhagavatam is like open, broad, very wide. So once you get into the Bhagavatam, then that will definitely help us discuss so many other things and start quoting the citations coming from Jiva Goswami or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Those things will really add a lot of value, very, very releasing. And that's how we learn. So we are basically starting this. I sent the email also to our Sunday Feast announcement. Lal Gopal Prabhu is very supportive of this program. So if you are interested and if you want to take your study to the next level, please enroll into Bhakti Vaibhav course, and we'll have a beautiful journey. I'm sure that you will learn a lot. Very similar way, I'll be making PowerPoint presentation and giving you, as much understanding as I have, plus all the course material that is given to us. So I'll summarize it and present that as a essence. So this is something I wanted to talk to you also. And then ISKCON disciple course now is kind of a little bit opening up. So we are going to send the email also about disciple course. And if you haven't taken your first initiation, this is going to be mandate for your first initiation. So if you'd like to take the disciple course, please let me know. I need at least like 20 devotees, at least 15 or 20 devotees to start doing the disciple course. And same thing for Bhakti Vaibhav, at least 15. If I can get 15 devotee, then the time and effort that I am putting behind, collecting all the information, creating a PowerPoint presentation, giving a kind of meaningful, information will be worth. Otherwise, it's kind of, I'm okay whatever I get, but I just wanted to let you know that at least if I get 15 students here, 15 there, then this course we can start. This is going to be basically on weekend, only 2 hours. This is ISKCON disciple course has 14 lessons. And those 14 lessons are very much PowerPoint presentation. There are some group activity that we have to do. So if I do maybe like 3 hours on Saturday and Sunday, 6 hours on one weekend, then in 3 and 4 weekend, depends how long you take for your group activity. I should be able to get done on 4 weekend. And then after that, there will be open book exam. So I'll give you all the handout. I'll give you the question. You'll have 1 week to write your exam and give it to me. One thing that I can also tell, that don't think that these things are becoming so easy, then it has no value. When I finished my Bhakti Shastri, I was fishing all over the place to do Bhakti Vaibhav. And only option we had in our ISKCON society is that either you go and live in Mayapur and do Bhakti Vaibhav, residential course at Mayapur Institute, or you go live in BIHE or do residential course. There was no course. So I definitely, felt that no, it's not good. I mean, we need to have center-wise these courses going on. So in that endeavor, I took this service. So please, take the benefit of the opportunity. The certificate that you will get will be equally good getting from anywhere else. I may be not a very famous man, not be very, nice devotee, but still, I think the certificate that you will get will have equal, value, and you will have, same, opportunity as you have getting this certification from somewhere else. So I sent the flyer before. I request you to share with other devotees if you can, please. And if you'd like to be part of these courses, please let me know. Thank you. With that, I would like to conclude the discussion today here.
Prabhu,
yes.
this is Ram Kishore.
Haribo.
I shared the Vaibhava course and the disciples course with the local community. Is the disciples course going to be online Zoom?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
Okay.
I'll try to, I'll try to do it basically online. So what happens is that, Prabhu, just to little bit go back, I'm trying to see who are the participants. And then also once I know all the participants, then I'll ask them how they want, the course to go. If they want me to meet in person, then we can meet in person. And at the same time, even if we have few devotees from outside, for them, we can do Zoom. Or if we try to do on Zoom, just, like we are doing this one, I'm good either way. So that's why I kept that part still open to see what type of response I get from devotees, and then we'll do. But yes, so we can do Zoom also.
Okay. Yeah, I got a call by a local Prabhu who's interested in both the disciples course and also the Bhakti Shastra. So he's going to call me later tomorrow, so to talk more about it. So hopefully he'll join.
Thank you. Yes, so yes, please spread the word.
Prabhu, there is a question that are you going to do these courses when the current course ends, or it's going to be parallel?
No, I
Because-
can do in parallel. I mean, I can
But
do in
that's-
parallel, or I can wait, also.
But that's going to be requiring a lot of. I mean,
So we have
even
only,
this one-
so you will see that Nectar of Instruction exams and homework definitely was much easier than
No,
Bhagavad Gita.
we have two more, ISO passionate and
Yeah,
Nectar
so
version.
so from here, I think it's going to be slightly, less time requiring than it was before. But if you are interested, yeah, I mean, yes, it depends. My thought process is to start in parallel.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I was going in the same direction. If it starts after this class, it's probably going to work out. I don't know if I'll be able to spend as much time and do justice to both.
Okay. Yeah. So by the time I hear, we are going to basically announce it almost, next 3 or 4 weeks. This will keep on coming. By the time, so next we are going to start Isopnisad, and soon after that, we'll get into the Nectar of Devotion. So I think we are very good, on timing. We should be wrapping up this course soon. And then after that,
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, do we need to complete Bhakti Shastri before going to Bhakti Vaibhav?
That's a very good question. Yes, the requirement of the course requirement is that you have to have the Bhakti Shastri. But the students who are part of this course, for them, I can basically sanction. But that, yes, you have to have the course requirement is that one need to have the Bhakti Shastri certificate to start a Bhakti Vaibhav. But if you are enrolled into the Bhakti Shastri and you are almost 75% done with such a good performance, then, my answer is you are, Bhakti Shastri certified very soon, or almost getting there. So in that case, we can sanction devotees who are part of the Bhakti Shastri. But for devotees who are not part of the Bhakti Shastri or have not done the Bhakti Shastri, if they want to be part of the in the Bhakti Vaibhav class, then we have to see how we can handle it. I mean, sure, who are, you saying something, Prabhu?
I had a question.
Yeah.
How